Long story short, me and Jake, obviously over an hour late. We could not get his stream key to work. We finally thought we did, and then everything audio-wise was wrong. So he's gonna go ahead, get his day started, and I'm gonna just answer some questions here if you guys have any, or we could just fucking bullshit for a few minutes. But I feel like people might have stayed up, you know, to watch the stream. So let's give the people a little bit of what they want. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'm more than happy to do like a quick little DeFi Q&A, right? A little something, something. Hear me loud and clear, good. Sound check sounds good. What's up, yo, you guys can hear. Jake is done though, RIP. Jake is going home. Sweet boys, how are we feeling about the market? Let's do a little market update here. Let's check some liquidations. Market moved back down a little bit. Reminded you to book a one-on-one. Go ahead and lock in, man. Lock in that one-on-one. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. 97 still poking around looking cute. Cute little liquidation spot up there. Do we think BTC bounces off 90? So, I mean, short term like that, I'm not too concerned with 90. I mean, we can go right through it and then back up again. What I'm more trying to watch is, are we going to hit 97 or are we going to hit 76? So we could chop around anywhere in here and I wouldn't be too surprised. Let me lower the time frame here, actually, on liquidations and just kind of get an idea of what's going on. Kyle, how's Zora doing? I haven't looked at Zora in a few days. Oh, I mean, 95 still looking hot, but I'd say there's a lot of heat down to the lower 80s still too. GM Justin. Let's see. Cool. Let's talk about, actually, this will be fun. Let's talk about why we don't care if Bitcoin bounces off 90 or not, right? This will be a fun little experiment for everybody. So a lot of DeFi, this will be a little more of a technical call, I guess, kind of nerdy. But so a lot of the beauty of, let me switch wallets here too. A lot of the beauty of DeFi for me, besides figuring out my 20,000 passwords I have, let's see. Okay, first try, that's actually unusual. So let's even just look at this wallet right here, right? So if Bitcoin bounces off 90 and we keep going up, I'm gonna be happy that I got exposure to Bitcoin, like in this example, right? If Bitcoin, simply put, doesn't, if Bitcoin falls back down in my big buy box right here, right, we go back down, say lower mid 80s, and I want to buy more, or even if I'm waiting for lower, like 75s, where that liquidation in the high time frame, we still have some stacked up. Let's take a peek. Zora still printing. GG Kyle, good job. Say we come down here. Say we come take out this these liquidation points at 75, or say worst case, we go to 76. Well, more USDC on this side, which is just sat there waiting to take advantage of a dip. But also, guys, remember, we're running DeFi pools. So a lot of our whole strategy here is to leverage against our long-term assets. So one of our new members, Andres, right? His whole goal is just to accumulate more Bitcoin. So a lot of what we're showing him to do is how to take his Bitcoin, leverage against it by borrowing. Little USDC right here, 5K. And for example, we got to see what wallet this is real quick. Don't know if this is the right one. Might be. Let's take a peek. Also, who's calling you Ray in chat? Ray's not the first name, bro. Every time you try to make a deposit, it asks me to deploy a Sickle Smart wallet. Any suggestions? Yes, so your first transaction actually will be deploying a Sickle. The easiest way to explain that, what that is basically you're making like a sub wallet inside your wallet, kind of. You're basically opening up a little mini wallet inside your wallet. It's a mandatory thing for VFAT. That way your position's not sitting directly just in your Rappi wallet there. It's kind of weird, but again, that's why try everything small first, right? Just try it with a little bit, and then you can scale it later. Make sure everything works correctly. No, I'm not mad, bro. It's just a bunch of comments about Ray lately. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so the point, we're leveraging USDC against our Bitcoin long term, right? And we could throw it in something simply like Ethereum to USDC right here, where we're just cash flowing over 10% a month, making about 130% a year, which this one right here, it's only 3K. It's not even the full 5K, right? But the whole intention is to cash flow money every day. We're talking about, $3,000 making us 300 to 500 bucks a month. This fluctuates quite a bit. And we're using that just to buy more Bitcoin. Scale in, buy more Bitcoin, open new DeFi positions, stack some cash on the side while we wait. And so this is a lot of the DeFi game plan where you can systemize everything. And even if your goal is simply just, hey, I want to hold Bitcoin and maybe I want to monetize some stuff to make more Bitcoin, dude, you're making 10% a month. Buy more Bitcoin. So even if it's something simple, like just you have $3,000 on the side, you use it to make 300 bucks a month, and you just buy an extra 300 bucks of Bitcoin every single month. It's that easy. It really is. Another fun example. I'll give away free value. Mr. Free Value over here. Free Value Day. We'll get nerdy for the people that care. Cool shit. So this is my little Phantom wallet right over here. And you'll see, same situation, right? Got a little bit of SUI lent out. Not like crazy numbers, not like $1 million of SUI, right? There's $9,000 just sit right over here of SUI. And there's about 30% borrowed against it. So I'm borrowing a loan for $3,000 of USDC against my own assets at about a 4% a year rate. And what I do with this is I also just put this to work. And this is a much more boring example. Better RR on ETH. Yeah, you might be right there on that. That's what I did in April. In April, I took a big bet on ETH and 3x that in about 2 to 3 months, and then just rotated that back to USDC. And then when the market dipped, then put that back into Bitcoin. The point being right here, though, is that, again, taking my SUI I believe in long term, I don't need SUI to 3 to 4x in the next month, because what I'm doing is I'm taking out a loan and I'm putting it to work. You could take this money right here at 4% a year and throw it right back over here if you wanted to. Boop, there's another $300 a month you're making. Or you can do something a little less exciting but more long term. I've got an asset to asset position right here of Bitcoin to SUI, making 30% a year. It's very, very boring, right? Not exciting at all. But also, since it's asset to asset, I'm gonna get more appreciation. I'm already at 500 bucks on this one since I took that loan out. Took out 3K, 3.5. Yesterday it was like 3.8. Now it's down a little bit, right? And so 30 bucks to claim right here. Whenever I claim that rewards of Bitcoin and SUI, I just take it and I lend it back out over here. And so if the market's going sideways or down, I just continue to accumulate every day, every month, every week. And this is across millions of different positions on all these different blockchains, different coins that you like. If 10% is lower risk returns, what range would high risk returns look like? 20 to 30%. Well, I mean, it's going to depend on the assets, right? So let's think of something. Like there's this little coin I have $1 in, Mute, right? I was talking about Mute Swap the other day, and I was experimenting with what a pool would look like. This is a 300% wide range, doing 20% a month. Keep in mind, the only amount I own of Mute is $1. Okay, I only own $1, so I'm not saying that I own a bunch of this, right? But so what you could do, say you did a tight range, let's just see what something risky would look like for you, right? Let's go ahead and just cut this down to not even tight, per se. About a 50% range, let's see. Bro, you're making 100% a month. But now, there's risk, right? What is the risk of making 100% a month? Because if you're making 100% a month, you get probably rich as hell, right? Rich really fast. Wrong. Because you're exposed to this. Your biggest risk is that you're actually holding this token called Mute, the Mute Swap token we talked about. So, your biggest risk in this pool, because remember, pools are kind of like a business you're running. It's like an inventory. It's like a shop, a mom and pop shop where you're selling money. You're an exchange, right? You have to take inventory of these assets. So your biggest risk is that you end up holding this shit down to fucking zero, right? Because let's go ahead and try to chart this Mute right here. Let's take a peek. I think I see Bobby in the chat there. What indicator are you using? Yeah, we'll touch on that in a second. Don't worry, don't worry. Let's see. Let's look for Mute here, right? Is it this one? Fuck. Market cap. Yeah, nothing crazy. I don't think it's this one. This is not it, actually. Let's see. There we go. Okay, about 2 mil market cap there. I mean, we just gotta look at the history, right? I mean, I would say it's a better buy than it was at the peak, right? Where you were buying at what, 2.5 cents almost, and now it's down to half of a cent. But again, if you don't know anything about this coin, you might not want to purchase this. You definitely might not want to go big on this. Now, for people like Kyle in the chat here, you know, he made a bet on Zora, similar to this, I'd say, and he was printing fat numbers for a long time. And he stacked up tons and tons of Zora, which he already wanted to hold. And this is a similar scenario where if you were doing something like this, you could possibly make lots and lots of money. Now, again, it's very situational dependent on whether or not this is a good buy or not. But, you know, there's options out there for you. It depends on the coins that you want to hold. What indicator are we using? Bobby, this is your GG indicator right here, man. This is your indicator. Let's find a chart that I don't have a bunch of bullshit on right now. It's your GG indicator. Gives you kind of a good idea of our trends. It's going to give you a good idea of DCA in and out points on whatever time frame you're looking at. We do also on here, if you're interested in liquidity pools, we have these boxes, which will kind of tell you those high value support resistant zones, right? So you can kind of take a peek and you can look for where those demand zones are, set some bottoms of your range, and look for maybe the peak where, you know, we kind of busted out of the peak of this range right here, but look, we're right back inside. The market loves to respect those levels. But just remember, in DeFi, try to go a little wider than you think on the ranges. It's going to work out a little better for you long term. Boys, ask some questions in chat. Give me something fun to talk about here. Let's see, Bitcoin bounce off 90. We talked about that a little bit. Still printing on the Zora GG. Right about 1,000 to 5,000% for 2 months. That's crazy. Because Kyle, you stacked about 1 million up in Zora, right? Just absolutely printed hella on that. Got bigger balls on that one than me because I get scared of going big on assets like this, but that's just because I've learned a lot of lessons and gotten burnt. Doesn't mean it won't work out. It just means for me, I don't want to take on that level of risk. Well, look at this right here, boys. This is inflated. There's got to be some crazy volumes going on or something. This will return to normal probably while we're on this live stream. But apparently right now, wrapped Bitcoin to USDC on Monad is doing almost 1,000%. Yeah. So this is usually around like 40 to 60%. What pools look nice right now on base chain? Well, let's poke around and find out. So VFAT, again, lovely tool. Can literally clear out everything except for base chain. Can look at certain protocols. If you have favorites as well, you can block certain things you don't like. You can use things you like, but it doesn't matter. And so we want to do the same thing for pools. Farms and pools. Shop both places. And maybe VFAT is kind of burning my computer alive right now, apparently. And so we'll shop around. We'll see what's cooking. And let's go ahead and, I mean, give me some assets. Give me some assets. Or we can just go full degen, sort by APR. And then let's filter out the TVL. TVL minimum of like 10,000. No, let's go not so bad. Let's do 50,000 minimum. And let's see what's printing crazy. If you like virtuals to ETH, I've been seeing a lot of guys, can't speak. A lot of guys have been joining our community lately with this coin virtuals. So this would be quite interesting where let's take a peek at the chart, I guess. Let's go ahead and DEX tools. Or let's actually, real quick, I'm going to copy the contract address here, the token address. Let's go to DEX tools. It's kind of my process here a lot of times. Brett, oh man, Brett's getting cooked, ain't it? What is it, like 2 cents right now? We can take a peek at that though too, that'd be fun. Virtuals, let's see. And so here's some things to keep in mind, right? So we're looking at virtuals to ETH. So we can't just come in here and use this chart. Okay, well I guess we can't use this chart at all. What the fuck? Let's try this again. Let's try this one. Kyle's still doing over 10% a month on a wide range of Zora ETH. Nice. Okay, let's finish this one real quick. Let's focus, boys. So remember, we're looking at ETH to virtual. So we can't just come to virtual's chart here that's priced in USD because it's not going to make any sense, right? Because if we're looking, it's like, oh, it's 80 cents up to like 240, you know, and this isn't going to translate because you're like, what the fuck, 000, what the hell is all this shit, right? So it's actually quite cool. You just would come in here and you change the quote asset. Dex Tools makes that easy. Dex Screener, you can do it too. TradingView, you can do it on some. It's just a little more complicated. You'd have to make sure the quote asset's listed. So you could take something like Ethereum, for example, and price it in Solana. You can change the chart that way, right? Pretty cool. But Dex Tools is going to work with a lot of the coins that aren't on TradingView. So my process goes here a lot. So we can kind of just look at this, look at the relationship. Let's see what a wide range on this would be. Let's say we take this down to like, let's just do 00017 up to 00085. Let's just stretch that bitch out. Let's see, and let's just see what we get on this one. What'd I say? 00085. I mean, I think it's still going to be good. It's just going to be not as good. Fuck. Let's back that down a little bit. Oh yeah. 15% a month. You know, if you're someone that holds virtuals, you probably also hold Ethereum, and you can put them to work together on a fucking wide range and make 15% a month. Like, all right, stream's over, guys. Cool, did my job. You know, and then you're fucking printing and you're making cash. And then, you know, if you're someone that is already holding ETH and virtuals, you can do this, right? Or if you're someone that's been thinking about holding it and you don't have any yet, you could even do something silly like we talked about where if you have your Bitcoin or Ethereum, you could borrow against that and then use it. But I would be careful that you don't use borrowed money to open up things that are too risky, right? That's why, like my SUI, I'm borrowing against my SUI over here, but I'm only using it for something like SUI to Bitcoin. I would say this is actually less risky than just SUI itself because I'm paired with Bitcoin exposure too. It's going to slow my loss. Going to slow that 80% drawdown. I'm gonna try. Man. Let's see. Let's read chat here. I'm gonna try to catch up a little bit, boys. On base, but all risk-free, borrowed from ADA and Arrow, paid back, but up over 110K Zora. Yeah, Kyle, you fucking locked in on that shit. Is now a better time to jump into DeFi rather than a bull market, correct? Well, I mean, yeah, it's going to depend on what you think comes next, right? So, for example, in April, during this giant dip down here in April that we had, I kind of talked about this. I've talked about it in our group too. When I was down here, I closed all my pools I had spot, and I threw it all into ETH, went long, and then I borrowed against all my ETH and stuff and my Solana and all those assets, and I used that leverage money to run pools. That way I was covered either way. Because if the bull market returned, which I thought we were going to go sideways for longer down here in April, and that's why I had those pools running, so I could just keep printing, going sideways, sideways, sideways. But we actually popped off pretty fucking soon after that, and that's why I'm very glad that I wasn't just in pools, played it as conservative and safe as possible, because like that ETH I bought down here, for example, on Aave, I only had like 10 grand of it, and it turned into like 30 grand in a couple months, right? And then the pools didn't experience that kind of appreciation. No, they didn't move that much at all. Stuff like Bitcoin to SUI would, because it's asset to asset, this would move in price quite a bit. But like ETH USDC, oh fuck, clicked the wrong button. ETH USDC, I mean, the downside with this is you're making 10% a month, which is fantastic, but you're going to get cashed out at some point to USDC. So that's why it's really good to take that from a place where you're borrowing against a long asset. Pretty cool. But if you're scared the market's going to go down, I would much rather be in pools than just spot assets by themselves, because kind of like the example with, well, if it'll ever freaking load, I just kind of given up on it here. But, you know, ETH USDC, here we go. So, right, like this is ETH and USDC together. So as price goes down, say ETH goes down towards 2,700, I'm slowly getting DCA'd into more Ethereum. So it's going to basically auto DCA for me. Did insurance cover your stolen car? The cops actually found it yesterday, and they called me. Weird scenario. It was in the hood. Basically, the bank went to this house to change the locks on people that have been evicted, but were still like using the house. I don't really know how that works. I have never been in that situation. But the guy from the bank or whatever saw the Corvette in the backyard, and there's a bunch of car parts laying around it and stuff. So he called the police and gave him the VIN number, and they were like, you know, then the cops called me. And so I went over to check it out. There was like mud all inside of it. The driver's side window is obviously gone. It smells like weed. Hella it's dirtier than I've ever seen it, especially when you're up close to it. But then also there were car parts all over the ground and stuff. So I'm not really sure if anything's missing off of it. I drove it to the body shop, but they had like backed it over a transmission, somebody else's transmission that was on the ground, and it scraped the whole passenger side. So we'll just have to get it fixed. So it's at the body shop. So yeah, deductible was like $1,000, I think. So paid $1,000 out of pocket either way, and then we'll see if it's too banged up or not. They got to get cleaned up, and hopefully they said when they buff out those like the big, it basically looks like my car been keyed the whole way down basically. But they say when they buff that out, usually they might as well just buff the whole thing. So the paint job might look brand new by the time I get it back, which would be pretty cool. Let's see. Risk-free. Yep. Is now a better time to jump into DeFi. We talked about that. What's a good pool percentage is best on edges of safe and risky? I mean, again, it's kind of what ranges do I try to stay in? So I'll give you more of a general advice where it's when I'm using the chart here, I'm trying to use the daily chart, right? I don't want to overly zoom in. Like I don't want to go to like, okay, you go to let's say 30 minutes and you're setting ranges, but it's the same way like when you're a trader. Like Bobby teaches trading in our group, right? I'm not a big trader, but it's the same way he would tell you where, support and resistance on a 30-minute time frame is going to be a lot less strong and significant than support and resistance on a 1-day time frame. A 4 hour is going to be weaker than a day, but it's going to be a stronger thesis than using, the 30-minute chart or the 5-minute chart, right? Same thing with if you can get weekly. And, I don't look for weekly very often, but there's some spots like Quant where this shit don't ever move, man. So you can look for the weekly and you can be like, all right, cool, we're going to set like a 65 bottom up to, I don't know, you can do like 115, 120 probably. And they'll cover most of the price action ever on this asset. And then, yeah, I mean, I think last time we looked, it was about like 8 to 10% a month. Let's look at that. That'll be fun. Let's look at Q&T. We only have base selected, though. The problem is Q&T's on mainnet, I believe, right? So I can go ahead and select all, but that just means that the problem is it's very expensive to use Ethereum mainnet. So if you're not throwing, bare minimum 5K, but I would recommend 10K plus because you got to remember every time you interact with something on ETH mainnet, it's going to cost you like 10 to 20 bucks versus like on base chain and stuff, it's going to cost you a cent, right? So let's go ahead and let's just look and see what that would be. Hopefully I'm not like super off or it's not super different from what it used to be. If we did Q&T to USDT, what did I say, 65 on the bottom and then 120. So, worst case, like if APR stayed this low, 43%, which if you've been holding Q&T for the last 3 years, like, I used to have a bunch. You haven't really made 43% anyways. Even if you bought down here, let's say you even bought the lows. Let's just check, boys. Let's check. Say you bought at 65. You haven't even made 43%. It's so funny, bro. It's not funny because I went big on Q&T like 2 or 3 years ago instead of Chainlink. Like I wanted both. I was like, okay, which one do I want more? So I put which back at the time, by the way, the 10 grand in Chainlink for me. Why is my phone? My whole laptop is ringing. My mom is calling. Chill out. What was I saying? I basically, at the time, I put like 10, 15 grand into Q&T, which was a lot for me at the time, right? And then Link, I only put like 2 grand into. And that 2 grand in Link turned into like 10 grand, and the Q&T was still 10 grand. I was like, dude, this is so retarded. So, quite annoying there. But yeah, so if you've been holding Q&T for 2 to 3 years, imagine if you were just using it as a cash flow machine and you were making, let's say worst case 43. Let's say you did tighten this bad boy up and you looked for like, let's do like 105 bottom or something. It's still about the same, but 56% a year. So definitely could do that. For shits and giggles, we could look at Q&T to ETH, but it's probably not as profitable. It's probably harder to keep this one range too, which is unusual. Usually asset to asset's easier. So come in here, Q&T, price it in ETH so you can get a nice number that makes sense. And we're looking at, let's say 0.2 to, let's just say 0.45, just to make it easy. 0.2. See if it's close enough. Like, okay, so if this is close enough to where, it's within 5% of the other one. Remember, the wide range on USDT was 45%. This one is with Ethereum, and it is doing 40%, we could say, right? So I would say that if you are bullish on the market, this is 100% the option you should choose because your pool is going to be made up of two assets that go up over time, and you're also printing 40% a month. If you are unsure or you just don't want to take on that directional risk of Ethereum, maybe you hate Ethereum and you don't want it. Okay, cool. Well, then go USDT route and then just know that you're not going to get as much appreciation out of the pool because you start to get DCA'd into USDT on the way up. But your downside risk will just be QT. So it'll pay like 5% more a year, but a DeFi 5% is kind of nothing, to be honest. Let me catch up on chat for a second, boys. USDC say on Uniswap. I unfortunately have not dug into say because when I was back at like that research phase, right, it kind of was like Sui and say, and I pretty much picked Sui, and I feel like a lot of other people did too. Is it like fucking blew up? I mean, now it fucking blew up like the wrong way. Like look at this shit, trash, right? But I went really ham onto Sui versus say. But is it on Uniswap? I didn't think that would be on Uniswap. I thought it was its own little. I thought it was its own little blockchain there, girl. But good to see you there, May. I haven't seen you in chat there for a minute. Let's see. This is a wrapped version of Say. Oh, the TVL 6K though. So you'd want to be careful of this. I mean, I do know you say like that sounded so weird. U is for like universal, so they do a lot of wrapped assets. The TVL is just very low here, right? So, but if you're playing with a low TVL, like say you only wanted to put $1,000 in, you could, you know, experiment with this. I don't think it would be a bad thing to do. But if you were someone wanting to deploy size, I mean, you can't go here. You're taking on the brunt of the whole pool because you are the whole pool at that point. Full range, I'm jumping ahead. I'll get to you in a second there, Justin. My bad. I'm sending you an air tag for your Corvette. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. You might start tracking me around with that, though. Okay, this is the other thing, though, with air tags. If you have an air tag near your phone, if you have iPhone and there's an air tag near you for X amount of time, your phone alerts you that, hey, there's an air tag following you. So I'm using the air tag to track my car, but then they're going to know that there is an air tag in it. So, you know, maybe so, maybe sort of. May, we'll do a little diving into, so maybe I'll dive into Say soon in like next live stream. We can touch base on that actually. Or I can do it here in a minute too. Touch on DeFi Llama. I'm just transparent, right? Like no one in our community, which we can just pull that up too, right? Like basically no one outside of a couple people with like a $500 portfolio of Say have any Say exposure, right? Out of 120 people. So it's like, I just don't really have many reps showing people as I don't own it either, you know? So you can actually make an air tag silent. I did not know that. But then that gets the whole purpose is like the reason your iPhone notifies you is so people can't be stalking you with that. So that's interesting. Okay, let's see. You found the car. Congrats. A win is a win. Why, when, and how do you choose a pool before you, or do you close a pool before you are forced to? So it just kind of depends, right? It depends on the pool. I say it depends a lot, but DeFi really is custom. People do have different goals, right? So why, when, how? I mean, if the asset, right? Like say, literally, say right here, if I had this pool open for some reason, if say reached a price where I no longer wanted exposure to it or something fundamentally changed with the asset, then I'm going to dump it. If I'm playing a riskier game right here, like with the mute, like we were talking about, right? Where we could tighten this up and make crazy APRs. It's like, okay, this is a really cool coin, whatever. Like, again, this is not financial advice. Please don't do this. You can do it with $1. I did it with $1. But if, you know, let's say that coin cuts down or something changes in the protocol or news comes out or I find something else I believe in, that's a good reason to switch. If I'm in a USDC pair like Ethereum, there's a lot of resistance for me to like rebalance after I go out of range. Because if I go out of range, the upside here, remember on this pool, I'm holding all cash. I'm holding all USDC. So at that point, I may want to close my position and then not do anything. Just go lend out some stable coins because if I rebalance, I'm buying ETH at a higher price. Or you can just sit there and do nothing. I had a Sol USDC open through this whole market right here where ignore all these crazy lines. These are from like lessons and classes we've done. But, you know, I had it open from April, right? And it printed, it went out of range. Let's say it went out of range here at 215. It probably did. And I just kept it open, didn't do anything. And then the whole way down, it's been printing again. And so now I'm back in range again and I'm making money again. And I just leave it there, just like a business. I just had, we were closed for the winter or summer, I guess, technically. Closed for the summer, back in business, and we'll see what happens next, right? And so the more you can zoom out and have that long-term vision, the less stress all these little things will make on your portfolio and your life. Why win? You're never really forced to close it because, like I said, yeah, I was out of range. I just kept it open because what was my risk? My risk is I'm just holding USDC there, so it was just chill. Can you find a random semi-risky pool to put 1K in and see what percentage of return you would get? Not financial advice. Yeah, I mean, like you want me to do it right now, like live? Like I was showing this one right here, right? Where it's like, hey, if I like this coin, you just got to think when you go tight, your downside risk is really just that coin. So if I wanted to do something where I, do a tight range like that, oops, like locked in, crazy. Let's go shop other stuff here. Let's go find out. Let's look at Monad or base chain. JK, VFAT's cooking my computer again. There we go. And let's look at, fuck it, all chains. Let's just freestyle this bitch. TVL, let's give us a minimum like 25K, right? Not too trash. No way this is paying this good. The fuck? Ah, it's clickbait. 1% wide. That's why it's saying that. Oh, I knew it was a lie. Okay, let's keep looking. Staked USDCE craziness. Let's take a peek. Where was the virtuals one wasn't bad. ETH to ADA should not be printing that good. Let's take a peek at this one. I just want to take it to 40%, see what that's paying. I mean, damn, that's pretty damn good. Ain't no way it's staying up there. ETH to Coinbase wrapped ADA. Hold on. Do I want to buy ADA for cash flow? No. Let's find out. 0001. Let's call it. Let's go 0004. Let's see. That'll take us back to like 2 years ago. If we do that, it's 2-year-old range. 0001, 0004. Not financial advice. It's going to get much worse, but let's see. Still 10% a month, just about. I don't know if I believe it stays here because to me, well, the pool is smaller, 30 grand TVL, but it's 2 large cap assets though. It's because we're using a wrapped Cardano. This could pay potentially very well, and the risk level I would say is quite small considering that this is, what, a top 20 coin? What is Cardano now? Let's see. Top 10. Barely. Well, I guess if you don't count stable coins, it's definitely in there. Definitely in there. Yeah, that's but that's what I mean, guys. So a lot of my risk tolerance, I know we have a lot of chat asking for like, okay, let's fucking like just send the APR. Listen, I've learned the hard way that you do that and that it's nice until it's really not. And then either the asset starts to mature and the APR goes down, and then it starts out to where you're making like, oh, I'm making 1,000%, and then it starts to wane over time. So we're kind of like Kyle was talking about in chat, where he's still at 150%, 160% APR, but he's not at that 1,000% APR anymore. But that's because his asset matured. Zora became more popular and attracted more TVL over time. Whereas stuff like Black Hole, that shit went to shit. So you gotta be careful, right? Because you invest in the wrong things. The high APR attracts more liquidity, usually. But then there's also times where it doesn't matter. That coin's still gonna freaking dump. Risky pool, kind of talks about that. Full range. So full range, yeah, it does never go out of range. It operates a little differently, right? Let's see if I have anything open on Orca right now. I think I did a couple examples last night on one of our onboarding calls. Yeah, I did. I was showing the examples of different, 500% on Sol USDC. APR is looking fat. Last night, this was 150%. But again, just test amounts, just showing how to open things, right? So let's show you what like a full range looks like. Actually, let's show you full range first. That'll be cool. I
don't even know if there's still fucking full range pools on Orca. I haven't looked for one in so freaking long. Yeah, what am I doing here? Sol USDC, and you're looking for your range, you click full, which I guess my camera's in the way, so you kind of can't see this. 1 second. I'll just move this for a second. So up here, like full custom, okay? So if I switch it, just know that that's what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna drag this back now. Okay, so on a full range, basically, it's just a math equation. So like if I put 1 Solana in, which is $129, I also have to put in $129 of USDC. Because a full range pool, the math equation is literally just at all times you're going to have equal dollar amount of Solana, equal dollar amount of USDC. An example of this as well is like Aerodrome. I've had that Aero USDC pool open full range for like 1.5 years, 2 years now. And it's just printed, it prints like 30% a year, which for a full range that's been open that long, not too bad. But typically the APR is not gonna be very good. And I can't see my fucking APR right now. What is it saying? 16%. 16% a year, which I'm not saying isn't something that you couldn't do, but it's not very exciting when I show you all these other things. Like I look for 10% a month, so that's like 12 times worse than what I like to get, right? So if you go to a custom range, it just means that you're actually setting up basically like your store hours, right? You're setting where the price of things are gonna go, okay? And so you can do fun stuff like, you know, a common one that I'll give away so much value right now, right? 125 to 225. Sometimes we do like 125 to 215, you know? And this is just on the largest pool in Solana. There's better spots, which I showed you a second ago, a little sneak peek. You can rewind that shit later if you want. Better spot, so you'll be making like 500% instead of 150. But when you're doing a concentrated pool, your deposit amount, the ratio won't be 50-50 the whole time. It's gonna change based on where you're at in the range. So essentially, I can feel everyone glossing over right now. Don't gloss over. But essentially, you'll see that as price falls down to the bottom of your range, what's fundamentally happening, and I've been explaining this, I like this analogy pretty good. What's fundamentally happening, you gotta think in a market. When assets are tanking in the stock market or in crypto, why are they tanking? They're tanking because everyone is running for the hills and they're selling you their assets for whatever price they can get. So you as the exchange owner, which is what DeFi and liquidity pools are, you're becoming the exchange, you get stuck holding those assets. So you're just holding all the Solana. And that's why as it goes down towards the bottom of your range, and once it leaves your range, you don't get liquidated. I've heard people say that, oh, don't you lose your money? You don't lose your money. You just get stuck. You're not making APR anymore if they leaves your range, but you're just holding all Solana. You're holding all Solana to the downside because that's your store's closed. You're out of USDC, all Solana. Everyone's sold out to you, and you're stuck holding it, right? That makes sense? I hope so. The opposite is true to the upside. So you can see right now, since we're really close to that bottom bar, we're at 92% Solana. And once we cross that bar, we'll be at 100. The opposite is true for the upside, though. As price starts to go back to the upside, we start to get heavier in USDC. And it comes down to the same market fundamentals, where why does price go up on this chart? Price goes up on this chart because there is demand for Solana. So people are throwing all their cash at us, and we're giving them Solana. And we're taking the fees, right? So it would only make sense that as price goes to the moon, that at the end of this journey right here, our store is just, boom, we're all sold out, have a nice day, and we're just holding cash. That's literally probably the best real life visualization I can get of what we're doing here in liquidity pools is exactly that. So that being said, that's exactly why it's important that you pick good assets too, because remember, your downside risk is that you get stuck holding that more volatile coin all the way down. So if you're holding a fart coin and this shit goes, like you get stuck holding that. Really, you do get stuck holding that. So you gotta be careful, guys. Chris Song, can you confirm he is your partner? Bro, that's Batman. Chris is Batman. But yes, he is one of my sales guys, of course. Of course, of course. Thanks for showing all this value. Kudos. Of course, brother. Anytime, any place, especially in the 10K fast track. Where else did I want to go with this? I wanted to give one more piece of information on this. I just don't quite remember what it was. But anyways, even on this, you're making 10% a month. Now, volumes will change. They will drop. This range right here in this pool, again, is usually about... I would say lately it's been like 40 to 60%. It's been less than exciting depending on who you are. If you're excited by 60% a year, you're probably in a good headspace. And I definitely want to work with you. If you're someone that needs to make 530% to feel anything, then you're probably not in a good headspace. You need to work on that. Be a little more long-term, be appreciative, be grateful, be consistent over time. But you'll see that, this is the exact same range I have on screen right here. And you'll see that same with right here. And this one's doing 139. This one's doing 535. So sometimes you can have the same business model. Like if you want to open a Chick-fil-A or a Chipotle, right? You can put it on a dead street and you make this amount per year. Or you can put it on a college campus and you'll make this amount per year with their mommy and daddy's credit cards, right? So, you want to go where either more volume is, right? Or lower competition, which is TVL. That's like how much competition. Now, TVL is good because it shows you it's safe, shows you other people are running the same business you are, so it shows you it works. We know Chipotle is a good business model, but we still want to be on a street where there's not a bunch of other freaking restaurants right next to us, or too many restaurants. And we want to make sure, though, that we still get a bunch of traffic, business, right? So there's these little metrics that they matter. But at the end of the day, you don't need to overanalyze this, guys. You just got to get started. That was one of my recent YouTube videos was, I think it's the one that dropped Monday, which was just like speed. Speed is everything. Just get started, right? Because if you don't just get started and you start see, like if this even wasn't 10% a month, if this was 5% a month, you get started, you see that coming in, you start to understand all these weird analogies I'm telling you, and they start to make sense. And you're like, oh, that's what's going on here. This is what this shit's about, right? And it starts to click. And then, you don't need to work with us. You really don't. This is just if you want the hand-holding, if you want that guidance, if you want to be surrounded by 128 people doing it, cool, right? Fucking book a call. Let's get you inside, right? But everything I'm telling you right here, and I'm literally giving you away ranges, right? To where you could run something. I hate choosing assets and ranges for people. I love teaching them how to find it themselves, and then they choose it themselves. Because that, one, means you'll understand it more, but two, I don't want to be the one that tells you to pick an asset that goes down. I don't want that responsibility, but I would love to show you how to monetize the assets that you already own. I'm not in the business of selling people how to, what coin to buy. I'm not shilling meme coins. I'm not taking payments from companies to tell you guys to buy certain coins. I want to, whatever coins you have. And there's been people I've told that I don't think you should even own that coin. I've said that, so that way my conscience is clear if something goes wrong. But I'm not trying to make, just like my DeFi thesis is the same as my business principles, where I'm not trying to make as much money as possible, as fast as possible, but I'm trying to keep it consistent, and then over time we will win. Over time we'll win. Our DeFi pools will keep printing, and more importantly, they won't rug to zero the same way that, I will get recurring business, referrals, hopefully, from great students, and I will grow my coaching business that way too, as, that accelerates as well. So if anyone cares, let's see if there's any more questions in here. Shallow question. If I had 400K in pools, could I expect 40 to 50K monthly in a relatively safe manner? Would I diversify in 5+ pairs? So someone this is a great question, right? So someone like Grant, who I actually also do extra work with him every single week. We have extra time. He pays for extra one-on-one help, which is pretty cool, right? But he has over $1 million in Bitcoin, and we actually, I'm just going to leave it looser numbers there, but I've shown him how to leverage against his Bitcoin. So kind of like how we talked about on Aave, where you can borrow against your Bitcoin, right, and monetize this. So he's pulled out amounts similar to that amount, and yes, that 10% a month figure is not very hard to achieve. So it can be on stuff as simple as if you're borrowing a little money against your Bitcoin and running ETH to USDC, you're making 10% a month that way. If you're a Solana boy, you're making 10% a month over here. And, it just depends on what you like. So again, it's hard to give you an exact answer, because if you're someone that really only likes certain things, and then you get in there and then I tell you, okay, well, we could consistently make you 5% a month off that asset, are you really going to be sad because instead of making 40K a month, you're only making 20K a month? No, I don't think you'll be sad. So, and then, like I said, I don't know if I already said his name or not. I forget if I said his name, but, his record day is about $9,000 in a day. And that's on a high volume day, kind of like how this pool right here, Soul USDC is saying 521%. On high volume days, because remember, this is a service-based industry. So you're literally in exchange getting paid off volume, traffic, and fees, right? So on a high volume day, when things look insane like this, his record is making right under 10K a day. That's our record. And he's got a portfolio that is substantial in size though, right? So it's all going to scale. And if you're someone with 400K in your portfolio, again, we would love to work with you, but you wouldn't even need to make 10% a month. You could play a much different game. You could do things like
for example, where this is a much boring portfolio, right? 30% a year. But if you're making 3% a month and you're also extra exposed to the upside and, leveraged against my spots, so like, I don't know your portfolio, right? So I'm just spitting off random shit. But if you were only making 3% a month every month, you're still making a fuck ton of money, bro. That's like on 400K, that's like what, 12 grand a month? Oh no. Oh no, there's guys that make 12 grand a year out here, bro. There's guys that they can't even invest 12 grand a year, right? And so it's nothing to scoff at. So, as you accrue more wealth, I would say that it allows you to take even more long-term, just passive stances and approaches, which is a good thing, Yeah, Kyle, he's in there. Community is amazing. Having a group accountability and structure is great. Yeah, Kyle, I would say Kyle picked it up pretty quick, and I would say he's one of those guys that keeps hanging around because he likes to pass on the education, and he likes to, I don't know, I would say maybe you'd see something once in a while, Kyle, that you haven't already kind of picked up on, but my goal really is to teach you a bunch of value and get you in there and printing money, and then if something ever happens to me, you'll be okay because you'll know exactly what to do. And so there's guys that they only show up once every couple months now because they just check in like, hey, how you guys doing? We'll see them in Vegas, the Bitcoin conference. But then there's guys like Kyle who they want to stay around. They actually want to help, being like a leader in the group, to where he's just staying active. And some of it's that social setting too, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's hard to find people in real life that really know what they're talking about in crypto, much less in crypto. There's no one in crypto to begin with. But to find someone that actually is like in crypto and is doing like this shit, oh no, there's nobody. There's just a guy that owns like $500 in meme coins. You probably know that one crazy guy that has just like a grand of XRP and is like, I'm gonna be rich one day, just wait. It's like literally $1,000. So yeah, so it's hard to find serious people. So, and then the group, there is a price to join the group as well, and it's lifetime access over here. So, but, that also filters out, and the quality of the people that you're going to get, where you're going to get people that are serious about it in the same way you are, and it really just tailors that experience to exactly who you want to be around. It's like a crypto fraternity almost, you could say. So at 100K, be the target to get a good return and keep reinvesting. I want a target goal to get to 100K in cash flow or 100K provided. So, it works at any level, right? So one of our newer members, I'm not going to say his name as I don't want to dox his portfolio size, but he joined and he has, I would say about 15,000 like total portfolio, right? But his head is on so straight. And by his head being on so straight, he does not even care about trying to chase APRs, right? His goal is I want to accumulate more Bitcoin as much as possible over the next couple of years and stack up to my first whole Bitcoin, right? And so his whole game plan is literally like, okay, we're literally doing this. We're literally lending Bitcoin. We're borrowing against it. We're putting that to work to cash flow back to more Bitcoin. And he's working hard at his sales job, and he's taking that extra money, a couple grand every month. He's using that to buy more Bitcoin, so increase his collateral. Take on a little more debt each month if the price is right, if the market's at a good place to buy, and he puts that into more liquidity pools, right? So it's pretty damn cool. And I would say most people his age and portfolio size are taking on crazy risk levels and just looking for numbers that they're going to change their life overnight. But I'll tell you, I've been very impressed by not only just the way his head's on straight, but his work ethic too, right? Where he went through almost all of our modules and videos right away. He had super solid questions. Like he was like grasping it, right? So actually one of my favorite new clients, just for many reasons, right? So really hope to see him do well. And it's one of those things where I don't have to be worried because I know his portfolio strategy. When his base and foundation's Bitcoin and he's monetizing the way he is and he's making, let's say he's only making 6 to 8% a month and he's buying more Bitcoin with it, no, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine because he's not taking on crazy risk. He's just doing the right things over the long term. When does it get risky to borrow against your assets? Like which part of the market? So this is a good question. When I'm usually borrowing and taking out money would be a similar time to, if I can find freaking Bitcoin, like right now in the market. Or for example, like ETH, where I did it in April when ETH was 1,400, right? So when we're getting these retracements, this is a better time to do it. But something I've always taught, and I'm happy to share here as well, is when you're borrowing against your assets, which I wouldn't borrow against anything that's like, I would say under 10 market cap max if you wanted to, like, so anything below 10, like I'm not borrowing against because it's too volatile For me personally, I do have SUI in there as well. So I borrow some against SUI, but also I have enough income that I could just buy more if I need to increase my LTV ratio. But what I do is you'll see, so for example on here, if you had Coinbase wrap Bitcoin on base chain, on Aave, you can borrow up to 73%. So if you had 10 grand, you could borrow almost $7,500. Now, what you need to watch is your liquidation threshold. At this percentage, so if Bitcoin drops X amount and you get to a 78% LTV, you get liquidated. So what I always recommend is that you borrow about 30, no more than 40% max. And the reasoning behind this is so as if the market, if Bitcoin literally cut in half overnight, which I think we all can agree, we would not expect to see $45,000 tomorrow. Excuse me, guys. But also, I'm not going to say that it's impossible in crypto for things to be insane like that. So if Bitcoin hit 45,000 tomorrow and you're borrowing 30, 35%, you're not going to get liquidated because you know if you're borrowing 35% and Bitcoin gets cut in half, that'll put you at 70% and your liquidation is not till 78. And then you have all the time in the world to buy more Bitcoin or pay back your loan, whatever you want to do to increase your LTV. So now it could get more risky if you're borrowing against things like SUI at a higher price because it went down like 80%, right? So then you would have to make some decisions on the way down to increase your LTV. But I didn't take out this loan on my SUI until a couple weeks ago when we were at lows. So like at market lows. So that's why I took 3K out. And you can see that it's already up in value over here. It's up about $500 in actual asset value. And it's only made me like 70 bucks in Bitcoin, but like, okay, you know, whatever. Long-term position, also just a nice example of what a long-term asset to asset low APR pool looks like. So again, risky, just don't risk against assets that are too, you know what I'm saying? Too volatile and just modest amounts. Like if you have 10 grand, don't fucking come in here and borrow 7 grand, 8 grand. Just borrow three or 4 grand. And then you'll have time to, if Bitcoin goes down in value, to take a new money in the market and buy back. And so what's cool about this too, that people don't understand, which, you know, I get questions about sometimes, is that there's no payment schedule, right? So like, I don't have to come in here and like make a payment every month. Like I just have to manage my LTV. So what the rich do is they borrow against their assets because, you know, a loan is tax free, right? So if you believe Bitcoin's going up forever, you don't really ever have to sell your Bitcoin. You can just borrow against it for things that you need. If you have a medical bill, you can just borrow against it. And when you borrow USDC, it goes right into your Ravi wallet or whatever you're running. And then I could just send that to Coinbase and cash out. And it's like if I wanted to buy a car, I could just do that with a loan through DeFi, and I'll have a 5% loan rate. Maybe that's better than what the bank would give you, right? If you're someone with shit credit and they're going to give you like a 15% APR, but you have a shit ton of Bitcoin, fuck it, borrow against yourself, right? So it's all, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but it's all about the fact that you have the ability to do it, and that's a lot of the beauty for me in crypto and DeFi is that you get full control of everything, of your assets and all the whole shebang, right? Kyle tries to make it every week, help where he can. No one in his hometown is even invested, much less in crypto probably. So new things he learns about every week, which, yeah, there's always something, right? So that's one of the beauties about that group setting. So I love our group calls on Saturdays, right? Because, it gives me, there's always someone new to help and to answer questions. And sometimes, like Kyle wouldn't know even to ask that question because he's never even looked at that asset or thought about doing that strategy. And so someone asks something different. And then Kyle's like, oh shit, I'm gonna ask a question about this too. It's like, what the hell is that? I've never seen that. And then the whole thing just snowballs. And then we're like 2 or 3 hours into this freaking call on a Saturday. I'm like, hey guys, I forgot, but I gotta eat today. Yeah, I quite enjoy it. I think that's important too. Like, to me, this isn't really like a job in the same way that a lot of jobs would be. It's like, kind of just like you guys, you don't have anyone to talk to about crypto for the most part in real life that understands you. Just keep in mind that I'm the same way. So I would love to sit down and talk to you about crypto. That's why I'm on this live stream by myself, bro. I'm literally just, the last hour or so just talking, right? Because we were all in the same boat. Not a lot of people in real life that you can do this. So you said he borrows against Bitcoin. Did he only take out like 25% against it and use that in pools? He took about 30 to 35%, I believe. And then he does have an active income and a great business as well. So if anything ever happened, he could just sell some real estate or put more money into it. He is someone that I would consider to be in a great financial position. So he's not overly stressed about anything. But yes, he's borrowing more than 25%, but he could up at any time to lower it to 25%.
But yeah, so I would say he's running about $400,000 in pools at the moment, and it's for like the worst month we've had, he made like 25K, I think. So, and I'm like, oh no, oh fuck, oh, I mean 25K, fuck, out of range. What a problem to have. Do you automate rebalancing or manual? I prefer to do everything manual because, a couple different reasons. One, I like to track things. When you join our group, we give you a spreadsheet template. You don't have to use that one. You can make your own, but I like to know every single decision and move, and I like to be able to calculate basically what I'm doing. Also, because keep in mind, if something goes out of range, so let's use the Solana one as an example, right? So remember, we're 90% USDC, right? 90% Solana right now, excuse me. If the Solana goes out of range to the downside, we're just going to keep holding Solana. We're just holding Solana all the way down. But if we go out of range and I try to catch the range by rebalancing and changing my ranges, or if it was an automatic thing and it did it for me, what some people don't realize that fundamentally happens is, let me say I lower this. Like, okay, we got to rebalance, we're out of range, let's take it to 110. I just bought a fuck ton more USDC, which what that means is I just sold Solana at a lower price than I bought it probably. So that's why it's not, I always say, wait a day or two, and if you've set good, strong ranges, right? Like, let's look at Solana, okay? Like, just let's look at this chart, okay? Say you did this fucking 115 right down here, okay? It's like rarely, seldomly has that broken out, and it did before, and it fucking just came right back in, right? If you're running this tighter, which is the 135, where's a 125 line? Usually I do like a 125. It's right here. And so you can see that, I'm just gonna bump this to 125. You can see that once in a while it wicks below. And if you just give it a day or two, maybe even if you just like go on a fucking vacation, go out to dinner with your family, and just ignore the fucking market for like 2 days, it just comes right back into your range, and you can just have this thing open for forever. Forever, ever, ever, guys. Right? What is this? This is like an old range from like a year ago. What is this? 2024? Boom, boom, boom. Right? This looks kind of stupid probably, but why would you make people pay that much for knowledge if you make so much money with it? So a lot of it is just, like we said, it's the experience of the group, right? So, and I don't even know if you know how much we charge there, man. But it depends. So, the 128 people inside here, they want to be around people that are just as serious as them. And I'll tell you, I've experimented with, I've charged people $100 to join before. They are some of the worst clients I've dealt with. And I don't say this in a rude or mean way, but they're just not bought in as someone that pays a little more and it's super serious. And they are ready to earn and they make that commitment. And it's even better. I'm going to be honest. It's even better if it hurts, right? If it hurts you just a little bit to where it's like, oh man, it's going to suck to pay this, but if I do this, it could work out good for me. You're going to make sure it works out good for you, right? For example, this is a great example. I have the boxing match or whatever with Jake in February in Thailand, right? Listen, working with that coach is kicking my ass. And I'm going to be honest, in the back of my mind, even today, I was like, fuck, man, I don't know if I want to come back Friday. I was thinking that shit. But you know why I have to go back Friday? I already prepaid for like 2.5 months of sessions. I got to go back. Otherwise, I'm just throwing money away. And it's the same thing here, where we have these clients that join, and just because it gets a little hard, you're kind of confused at your wallets, and then people just don't show up, and they message me 3 months later, and they're like, okay, hey man, I think I want to get started now. It's like, no, that doesn't happen when you spend money up front, because you're bought in. You're bought in now. It has to work. Has to work. And for some people, a couple grand, it's still nothing off their back like grand. With a $1 million portfolio, you don't care. You don't care. And, that's fine. But he's still at an echelon where he understands money and respects money, and he's going to, capitalize on what he's paid for, which is pretty damn cool. So that's probably the best analogy I could give. And also, you got to think, like in chat, they're asking, like, hey, is Chris Son your partner? It's like, yeah, bro, he's on my team. So, like, I pay other people. Like, I run a business. I have employees, right? I also pay Jake. Jake pays me when he gets his clients, right? So, it is a business at the end of the day. And, businesses usually hope to make money. Hope so. But also, just from everything I've given you on screen today, you could start making 10% a month right now. So if you can't, from everything I've shown you here today, it either comes down to, let's say, lack of speed, maybe you need a little more drive, you need someone to like show you, hold your hand what to do, like give you those instructions, or a little kick in the rump, or maybe
You just need to have something on the line, like money you've already paid, just to get you started. You know, for different people, it's different things, man. For different people, it's different things. Some people need to make this work to live the life they want. Some people just, it's a new hobby for them. Some people just, yeah, it's different all over the place. So whatever that is for you, we would love to help. You can book a call, see if you are a good fit, if we're a good fit for you. And if not, we'll give you the best advice we can, turn you the other way. But again, lots of free value here, even on the live. Free 99. And I believe Jake's new Discord's free as well, which he should be posting a little bit of content up in there. And Bobby's Trades, I think he's posting some in there too. Cool. Automation we covered. I need to take a drink, guys. My mouth is dry. Bucked up carbonated protein, cherry limeade. It's probably about one of the weirdest drinks I've ever had, but it's just funky enough. It's one of those things where you want to keep drinking it because you're not sure if you like it yet. And you're like, that's kind of weird. I don't know. And you take another sip. And you're like, man, it's kind of weird. I don't know. And you just do it again. That's funny. Market prediction for 2026. So I want to preface this by I'll be okay either way because I've set myself up to win either way. But I would expect a little more sideways volatility in Q1, Q2. I would be looking for long-term bullish. I don't need it to happen tomorrow. A lot of people are betting the other way, and you know they might be right. And I think it depends on what time frame you look at, because you know you can be right for a week and then you're wrong for the rest of the month or the rest of the year, right? So something like this can happen, and oh, yep, you guys have been right the last two. Well, just like April. Let's look at April, okay? If I can figure out where I'm on the weekly chart. I'm like, why is this so weird? Okay, that's why those ranges look so fucking shit too. Now these ranges look a lot better. See, you're in here over a lot longer term. Anyways, I mean, so let's say you sold in January. You were right. 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 Yeah, you're still right. Still fucking right. Still right. September? I mean, we're back in the same place almost, okay? It just kind of depends on how you look at it, what time frame you think that you're right. I don't try to be right. I just try to win over the long term. I'm not trying to take out a leverage bet and fucking just send it to the moon. Blow my account, blow my portfolio. I just want to be right over the long term. Let's see, higher highs, higher lows, technically, kinda, sorta. We'll see what happens next, man. It's in the air. What's your worst case? Worst case here, Bitcoin on the 1 year. Let's look at liquidations. We go to 67. Cool. Throw some more money in. Throw some side bags of USDT in. Start loading into some Bitcoin, right? Can you give me $100 to apply for my funded account, bro? Bro, if you would have asked me like $100 to open my first pool, like I almost would have considered it. But I am so anti-trade. I'm so anti-trading in my thesis that like it's just like you just joined this channel to ask for money because you obviously don't know me. You don't know my heart. You don't know how I feel about trading. That's crazy, bro. And Justin said, get a job. Fight card name between you and Jake can be called Bangin' in Bangkok. Damn. Oh, man. Yeah, my fucking hand kind of hurts. I ain't gonna lie. So I think I was hitting wrong, maybe a little bit with the left hand, because it's not the knuckle. Like the top knuckle don't hurt, but like the bottom of the fist, man, that shit's fucking hurt. If I do that, like that's shooting pain. That's crazy. I don't know. So I might be cooked. We'll just have to give Jake a good run for his money. How would you go over this pool? CL200, UXRP to ETH on VFAT. Well, traditionally, the XRP ones, they just don't pay the best. But let's go take a peek. Maybe. It's possible VFAT has officially given up. Okay, let's take a peek here. We're all good. TVL, let's wipe this out. Cool. Should be UXRP, right? I already typed it in, so VFAT's just cooked.
unoptimized as fuck. You're telling me that the Ryzen 9, whatever the fuck, with a 4070 can't fucking run Google Chrome is crazy. Oh, I fucked it up. Okay, UXRP ETH. Let's take a peek. And, you know, this might not be the best one, but let's take a look at it. But again, so we found the pool. First, let's go look at the chart here real quick. So let's just take a peek at XRP. And as you can see, it's down here. Damn. Damn, boys. Let's fuck around with some ETH. Apparently, I have an old range right here. You can see it's respected this. Oh, it's actually starting to maybe push through that. But it's done it before and it's came back. Apparently, it's an old range I have set. Not too sure. Let's use it. So 0006, we can just bump it down a little bit if we need to what? 0009, basically 001. Okay, what is that? 0006. Oh, APR is horrendous. APR is horrendous. Let's look for something different. Fuck, man. XRP is fucking out the game. Let's check farms. Okay. Okay, locked in. What'd I say? Oh, it's still fucking shit. 30%. Let's see. I mean, I personally don't like going any tighter than that if you believe in XRP. Let's check a couple different spots here real quick. Okay. Also, when you're looking at VFAT, this is a good example. Don't shop from the APRs on this side. It's a good way to start, but oftentimes the ones that look crazy, they're catfishing you because when you get inside, the width is going to be like 1%. Vice versa. Like this one looks a lot more boring, but once we stretch this bitch out, don't cancel me. It might. Yeah, someone got mad on a YouTube short comment. I saw someone got mad and said we were very sexist for we're talking about pools and ranges. We were like, yeah, stretch that bitch out. They did not like that. So don't cancel me, I guess. Let's see. Ah, it's fucking shit. It's shit, boys. All right, so here's what I would do. I probably wouldn't open this pool directly because it doesn't pay a lot. So being the person that I am, I'm too stubborn for this. So what do? Ta-da-da. Disconnect this bad boy. All right. Maybe. Yes, sir, Justin. I'm in the same boat. And I've tried it. And I've followed some of Bobby's trades. And, like, you know, it's fun. But to me, it's gambling. And it will always be gambling. And if I do it, I consider it gambling. Where it's like, $50. If I lose it, fuck it. You know? But I'm never going to full port fucking 5x leverage a fucking trade. It's crazy. Where was I at? Okay, so what you could do is come to a site like Moonwell, which is going to be similar to Aave in the fact that you can lend assets. So I would be lending XRP, something in my eye, sorry boys, but I'm going to be lending XRP and I would borrow against my XRP, right? So it's the whole game of how you can suck liquidity away from an asset. So you're leveraging yourself. This is the only leverage I accept. So if I put like 10 grand of XRP up in there, where am I at? Boom. And let's say I borrow 5K, 4K, 5K of USDC. Could take that and use it in a different pool of different assets I believe in. I don't even need to keep it on base chain. I could take it over here to fucking Sol USDC and make 500% if I wanted to, right? So you can move that around with the objective of that pool is indirectly monetizing XRP and then I could buy it back. Bobby, I know, you saw an XRP chart. I hate it. It's not my coin. I'm not saying you can't like it, but it's just not my coin. And that's important that you pick the horses you like and you use those. That's why I will never show anyone a token on here. I'll talk about shit that I've owned or examples of other people that I've helped open what they like. But just keep in mind, I'm never here to show a token. I'm here to show you how to fucking run your own business. Keeps my conscience clean. Let's see. Don't like trading either. Exactly. Get on Zora. They can't cancel you. Yeah, for real, bro. Fucking. Rip. Rip what? The XRP one? Yeah. So, but again, that's your way around it, right? So if we did the math, or okay, let's say you lent out a bunch of XRP and you borrowed, let's just to keep numbers even, you borrowed half. So you take 10 grand, you borrow half, that's 5K,
If that 5K, again, it's not going to make you this, but let's just pretend it was making the 500%. 5K's in there, boom, you're making 500% off 5K, which, if you consider back to the initial amount, you're technically making like 250% off your initial 10K, right? If you do the math on that. Maybe that was too autistic. But let's just say you're making the 140%, right? If you're making 140% off the 5K, your overall initial portfolio value is 10K, so you just divide the APR by half, and you're making about 6-7% a month, which is pretty damn good off the OG amount. Bobby, you're the trader, man. If you want to teach trading, oh, Bobby, listen. If you love trading, there's a man in the comments right now, Mast Malang, and he wants $100 to apply for a funded account. If you really love trading and you want to support the youth, Bobby, that's all you, bro. Have him just drop the address in chat. Yeah, not me, bro. Fuck trading. Yeah, it's not bad. There are people that win at trading, and they are literally like 1 to 0.1% of people. And 99% lose, and most likely you're not going to be the 1%, especially if you're applying for a funded account, because it showed me that you don't know how to use your own money to make money. So you're going to try to use someone else's money to shortcut, and you're going to lose their money too. And you're only $100 that wasn't even yours. Not trying to be a dick, but I do believe what I just said. And let's check up on the hyper liquid vaults. Wait. What wallet is that on? Wait. Okay, this will be cool. This will be cool if it lets me show it. I'm not turning my VPN on for this shit. And then I gotta end this stream, boys. I gotta end it soon. HLP, Hyperliquid Provider, or whatever, the Hyperliquidity Provider. This is essentially a place where you can take some USDC. We can call this a cash position, and you can try to make a. It's not. I wonder if it's not showing this because of the fact that I am not using a VPN, so it's just choosing not to show anything because it's being fucking stupid. Okay. Anyways, this is essentially a site where you're taking a counter trade position on everyone. It's kind of like how DeFi has become the exchange. Well, this has also become the exchange, but in more of a we're going to be the one that wins when traders lose type thing. So it's more like a counter trade to everyone that's taking out leverage on stuff. And I put about $2,000 in here, and it's up about $150. So it's up a little less than 10% in the last couple months. So, pretty cool. But yeah, that's just because I'm making money here because traders don't win. So, and then in pools, we're making money because traders buy shit. So whether or not they're buying long-term to be degenerates or whatever they're doing, we're still making money because we're running a business. We don't need crypto to win tomorrow. We just need it to go sideways and hopefully win over time. And we're making 10% a month, right? And you just fucking stack and you build your business, baby. You just build your business, baby. All right. Boys, I might call it there. I wonder if there's something fun we can. Is there something fun we can do, like an end of stream thing that we could do here if we do our own stream sometimes? Let's see. I don't fucking know. Something we should watch. That'd be funny. Like do a little like fucking I don't even know crypto compilation thing. I don't fucking know. I don't know, boys. We could do like Twitter hot takes. That'd be interesting. Let's see. Let's see if I'm signed into Twitter over here. Usually like type in like crypto news feed. Crypto news. I'm just scared if I do Twitter, like some crazy shit's gonna pop up. Then I get banned off YouTube. Let's check the market. Let's do this for like how long we've been streaming. Let's just look for like fucking 2 minutes, bro. We've already been going over an hour. Let's see if there's anything fucking juicy up in here. 2021 bull run? I wasn't here for this one, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty fucking much, man. Solana, BNB, XRP, crumbling. Yeah, yep. As Joe would say, it doesn't matter what good news we get, they're still going to fucking dump. Scroll through. Flash news, below 90K. I don't know if there's audio playing or not. I can't hear it through the AirPods here. Of course, May. Of course. Jake will be back next week. My better half, you could say. The prettier one. I just felt like a lot of people would have been waiting, so I wanted to just go ahead and go live anyways. Yeah, I don't know if there's really anything fun. Let's look at like DeFi. DeFi. I don't really ever hop on Twitter anymore. Link, Chainlink, something I like. You can do some fun pools on that. There's a wrapped one on AVAX. Pretty cool with USDC. All right, maybe not. Back to the Twitter we go. Oh, that's me. Interesting enough. That's me again. Oh my God. Okay, I'm about to get off here if it's just going to show me. All right, apparently dominated the DeFi space with fucking 1 like. Yeah, I don't get Twitter, but I'm going to quit posting over here because it's just fucking weird. Bullish? Bullish? Alt season 2026? You can find whatever TA you want to confirm whatever thesis you have. Into my ass. Funny. Interesting. That's totally not crypto related at all. That's what I'm worried about with Twitter, bro. What the fuck? Yeah, Bitcoin just big, chilling, bro. Let's see, Monad, declining daily. Yeah, what's the price of Monad? Let's look at Monad's price, and then we'll fucking jump off. And it will be GG. Maybe not. My computer's fucking cooked. Or did I already do it? The fuck is going on? Am I retarded? There we go. Maybe? No? Dude, where's fucking Monad, bro? What the fuck? I'm like not sure which one's the right one now. Let's just go ahead. Okay, seems somewhat right. Basically back at the pre-sale price. What was the pre-sale price? 2.5 cents? We're back. We're so back, boys. It's literally, oh, I shared this in our private group. It might have been on a call or something. But it was a post I shared that was like, yeah, most of these, basically these launches like this, they go up, 1 to 2, maybe 2 to 3x in the first, like, very, very soon, and then they just fucking fall. So, I mean, we're up and we're down. And this is like one of the highest market cap launches. Like, it launched at such a high market cap, and then what, you want it to what, 10x, guys? Like, no, it already launched so freaking high. So, but again, as a chain, really, really fun to use, where you can just go ahead and monetize shit like, is this even the right wallet? What wallet is this? All right, we're printing though. We're printing 46%. There we go. It's just nice. High yields right now. High yields of Monad for a lot of the stuff that you love. All right, boys. GG. We'll catch you next week. I am going to probably eat and, I got to skip. I got to do 10 minutes jump rope, another 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 sit-ups, and then eat. Go to bed. Got to beat Jake in the ring, boys.